Who is Iron Man and what difference and similarities between the films and the comics? Iron Man's origin in the MCU and comics is surprisingly similar, but with key differences. In both, Tony Stark is a genius billionaire weapons maker who gets injured and builds the Iron Man suit to escape captivity. But in the comics, it all starts during the Vietnam War. While in the MCU, it's updated to Afghanistan, reflecting modern geopolitics. Personality-wise, Comic Tony is more emotionally complex early on, dealing with alcoholism, self-loathing, and even running S.H.I.E.L.D. The MCU version leans more on charm, wit, and redemption, especially after Endgame. Comic Tony's armor has gone through hundreds of upgrades, some cosmic, some mystical, while the MCU sticks to a more grounded tech evolution. But at their core, both versions share the same arc. A flawed man who builds a suit of armor, not just to survive, but to become better than the man he was before. Who is Hulk? And what are the differences between the films and the comics? The Hulk isn't just a green rage monster, he's one of Marvel's most complex characters. In the comics, Dr. Bruce Banner transforms into the Hulk after exposure to gamma radiation. But the Hulk isn't just one personality. Over the years, we've seen multiple versions: Savage Hulk, Grey Hulk, Professor Hulk, even the terrifying World Breaker Hulk. Each one represents a different side of Banner's fractured mind. But in live action, especially in the MCU, Hulk is simplified. He starts as a rage-fueled beast and eventually merges with Banner to become Smart Hulk, but we skip most of the darker, deeper versions. Gone are the inner battles, the constant fear of losing control, and the raw power that made Comic Hulk nearly unstoppable. Comic Hulk once held a planet together with sheer strength. MCU Hulk got bodied by Thanos in under a minute. Both versions are iconic, but if you want the full chaos and tragedy of Hulk, the comics are where he truly smashes. Who is Thor and what are the differences between the films and the comics? Thor, the god of thunder, is one of Marvel's most iconic superheroes, first appearing in Journey into Mystery number 83 in 1962. Inspired by Norse mythology, Thor is the Asgardian prince, wielder of the enchanted hammer Mjolnir, and protector of both Asgard and Earth. In the comics, Thor often speaks in Shakespearean-like language, is deeply tied to mythological lore, and is one of the most powerful Avengers. The films, starting with Thor 2011, reimagine him in a more modern and humorous way, especially after Thor Ragnarok, where his character took a lighter, more comedic tone. The MCU also downplays his classic secret identity, Donald Blake, which was a major part of his early comic arcs. Additionally, while the comics explore deep mythological and cosmic storylines with more complexity, like his relationship with the Allfather Odin, Loki's many betrayals, and even Thor becoming unworthy, many of these are simplified or altered in the movies for pacing and tone. Despite the differences, both versions reflect Thor's evolution from an arrogant warrior to a true hero worthy of the thunder. Who is Captain America, and what is the differences between the films and the comics? Captain America, also known as Steve Rogers, is a symbol of heroism, perseverance, and patriotism in the Marvel Universe. Originally introduced in 1941 during World War II, Steve was a frail young man who volunteered for a top-secret experiment and was transformed into a super soldier through the super soldier serum. Wielding his iconic vibranium shield and dressed in the American flag, Steve fought against Nazi threats, including his arch-enemy, the Red Skull. In both comics and films, he is eventually frozen in ice and revived decades later to become a leader of the Avengers in the modern world. However, there are several key differences between the comic and film versions. In the comics, Steve Rogers has a much longer and more complex history, including deeper political arcs where he questions the government and even gives up the Captain America title at times, becoming characters like Nomad or the Captain. The comics also explore more of his relationships with other Marvel characters, such as his long-standing rivalry with Iron Man and his mentorship of younger heroes like Buckybarnes and Sam Wilson. Meanwhile, the films tend to streamline his story for clarity, focusing heavily on his personal integrity, romance with Peggy Carter, and his role in key cinematic events like the Civil War and Infinity Saga. While both versions stay true to his core values, the comics offer a broader and more nuanced journey, reflecting decades of cultural and political evolution. Who is Black Widow and what's the difference between the films and the comics? Black Widow, aka Natasha Romanoff, is one of Marvel's most iconic spies. Trained in the infamous Red Room, she's a former Russian assassin turned SHIELD agent and Avenger. In the comics, Natasha first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 52 in 1964 as a Russian villain, wearing a sleek black dress and acting as a femme fatale. Over time, she evolved into a heroic figure, gaining her signature red hair, black suit, and deep ties to characters like Hawkeye and Daredevil. In the MCU, Scarlett Johansson brought Natasha to life as a founding member of the Avengers, but her backstory was simplified. Less Cold War espionage, more redemption arc. One big difference is her age. Comic Natasha was born in the 1920s and enhanced to age slowly. While the films make her much younger, the comics also explore her relationships more deeply and depict her as more morally gray. While the MCU Black Widow is more emotionally driven and self-sacrificing, the comic version leans into her spy roots and ruthless efficiency. Both versions, however, showcase a powerful woman haunted by her past, constantly fighting to make things right. Who is Hawkeye, and what is the difference between the films and the comics? Hawkeye, whose real name is Clintbarton, is a master archer and skilled marksman, known for being a core member of the Avengers in both Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. In the comics, Hawkeye first appeared in Tales of Suspense, number 57, 1964, as a reluctant villain before eventually joining the Avengers. His comic book backstory is rich and complex. He was orphaned at a young age, ran away to join a traveling circus, and trained under a villain named the Swordsman. He also has a long history of leading the West Coast Avengers, and even temporarily took on the mantle of Ronin, a masked vigilante. In contrast, the MCU version of Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner, is more grounded and family-oriented. The films simplify his origins, portraying him as a SHIELD agent with a hidden family rather than a circus-trained performer. While comic Hawkeye is known for his bold personality, cocky attitude, and constant struggle with self-doubt, the film version is quieter, more tactical, and often serves as the emotional anchor of the Avengers. One notable difference is that the MCU version doesn't heavily explore his hearing loss, or many of his comic-based solo adventures, though the Hawkeye Disney Plus series begins to bridge that gap.
Hit the subscribe button.